Hey, welcome to Number Club. This is Year 1 Pure, this is Chapter 1, and this is Lesson 5. And you're going to learn about the basics of surds during this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to be talking about rationalizing denominators. That's not included within this lesson, but a lot of the important skills that are required for it are included within this lesson. So let's get cracking. So the first thing that you need to know about surds is that they are square roots that don't resolve to rational numbers. So for example, the square root of 4 is not a surd because it comes out as 2. So not a surd. But there are lots and lots of not a surd. There are lots and lots and lots of numbers that when you root them, you don't get a whole number out. So for example, root 5, root 3, root 7, etc., etc., etc. Now, those values, it's not just because they're prime, because other things like root 8, for example, that's a surd as well. Those things sometimes can be simplified. Sometimes you can manipulate them in a way that's useful. To do that, you need to be having your eye on the square numbers, which are 4, 9, I've missed off 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, dot, 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 dot. 1 is a square number, but it's not actually very useful or practical for the thing that we're going to be doing. So when you're looking at 3 root 75, we're going to try to simplify that. Leave the 3 where it is, and we'll write a big, nice, long square root. And look for the highest square factor of 75. The highest square factor of the number 75. And a good trick is if you halve it, you know that you're going to get around 37-ish. So it's going to be something that's lower than 37-ish. It's also got to be odd because you can't have any even factors of an odd number. So it's going to be 25. Now always write your square number first. So I'm going to write 25, which goes in 3 times. 3 is 3. What's the square root of 25? The square root of 25 is 5. Root 3, square root of 3 is just root 3. So write your square factor first and you'll square root that thing, leaving the other part of your root number just as a root. Okay, you can't root 3, so just leave it as it is. And 3 times 5 is 15, and root 3 is just root 3. Always put your square number first, your highest square factor first, because it makes things easier. Okay, we get 15 root 3, and that's the simplified version of that surd. It doesn't look much simpler, but it can be more useful. So let's move on to multiplication. 3 root 2 multiplied by 2 root 10. Now, to do this, do the 3 times the 2, which is 6. These are called the coefficients to the surds, and the 2 times the 10, which is 20. Now that's almost done, but actually this can be simplified. Root 20 has a square factor. I knew it was going to have a square factor because these two numbers have a common factor. But let's look at root 20. Well, half of 20 is 10, so anything lower than 10, let's check it. Well, 9's odd, so that doesn't, well, 9 being odd doesn't really preclude it, but it doesn't fit into 20. But 4 is a square factor of 20, so write that first. How many 4s go into 20? It's 5. 6, what's the square root of 4? 2. Square root of 5? Root 5. And so you're going to get 12 root 5. Okay, that there is the simplified version. Again, doesn't look much simpler. Doesn't look much simpler than 6 root 20, but actually it might be useful for something. On to division. Now, often people look at division as being more difficult than multiplication. It tends to be with things like fractions and stuff like that. Division is more difficult than multiplication. But with surds, the divisions are easier often because you don't end up having to simplify so much. What's 12 over 4? That's 3. Root 30 divided by root 3 would be root 10. You just get 3 root 10. Double check just in case. Is there a square factor of 10? No. And so we're done. Okay? You should know that from lower down the school. Again, other stuff that you should know from lower down the school. The square root of 75, we know the highest square factor. Those square factors, by the way, were 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, dot, 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 dot. Square root of 75, well, the highest square factor was 25 times 3. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 3 is just root 3. Plus 2 lots of 27 is 9 3s. So that's going to be plus 2. Square root of 9 is 3 times 3 root 3. 5 root 3's plus 6 root 3's equals 11 root 3's. Now, in addition questions, you can't just say, I'm going to add up the root parts and end up with the square root of, 102. It's not the way things work. You should always simplify anything you can at the start of every single question. It's almost always going to be a good idea to do that. With the simplification of each of these, you found that the roots matched. Once the roots match, you can collect the like terms. 5 root 3's plus 6 root 3's means I have 11 root 3's. But you can't collect these together. They're like X's and Y's. They're apples and oranges. They're two different things. Okay, the surds have to match before you can deal with them. Next, can you expand brackets with surds? Yes. So we've got 2 root 3 times by 3 root 6. That is going to be 2 3's is 6 root 18 minus 10. Now, root 3 times root 3 is going to be root 9. Okay. That's 6 root of 9 times 2. The highest square factor of 18 is 9. 6 times square root of 9 is 3. That's 18 root 2. And root 9 is just 3, isn't it? The square root of 9 is 3. So you actually end up with 10 times 3, which is 30. Okay? You end up with 30 there. And you should know that whenever you have a root multiplied by another root where the contained parts are the same, you'll get that contained part. Square root of x multiplied by the square root of x is x. Square root of 9 multiplied by the square root of 9 is 9. Okay, so we get 18 root 2 minus 30. Okay, nice and easy, nothing too tricky. All right, thanks very much for watching. In the next video, we'll be talking about rationalizing denominators. Hopefully that one was useful. Head to numberclub.org to find more videos and tasks. And if you get a chance, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much for watching.